As a society, we're very good at focusing on what other people do. We're very good at focusing on what other people's needs are and meeting that, but we don't listen to our own needs. And I think this contributes significantly to us taking things personally and becoming defensive. And so this is what you need to do. When you feel an emotion, underneath the emotion there's a need. And we learn to react to the emotion. We're feeling angry or frustrated, and we say, I'm feeling angry and frustrated, and then we look for the other person to blame or the thing to blame. Maybe we blame ourselves, maybe we blame others. But this all leads to conflict and defensiveness, and the underlying need is being missed. But if you focus on what need is under that emotion, then this will mean you will be able to stop taking things personally, and it means you will be less likely to engage in conflict if you learn how to communicate it. And this is what I'm going to walk through in this video, how to communicate what your true needs are so that you and others cannot take things personally. There are 4 ways that we receive messages from other people. There's 4 ways we can perceive things. There's 4 ways we can interpret it. Okay. The first one is to blame ourselves, blame others, acknowledge ourselves, or acknowledge others. Now, the first 2 will lead to resentment, guilt, shame, defensiveness, and conflict. The last 2 will lead to compassion, respect, no judgment. And it is the first 2 that results in us taking things personally, really having a bitter view of the world, feeling resentful. And the last 2 will mean that we are able to communicate what our needs are under the emotion and cut through judgment. Because when you cut through the judgment, you're being honest about what your needs are. You are more likely to receive a compassionate, genuine, non-judgmental response, rather than engage in conflict and the other person doesn't hear what your needs are because you're not communicating them. All right, so let's walk through an example. Let's say someone says, "You are the most self-centered person I have ever met. You are the most selfish person I've ever met." Okay, so let's blame ourselves. "You are right. I should have been more sensitive." So you are assigning blame to yourself. You are accepting what this person's saying, that you are the most selfish person I've ever met, and we immediately go by what they've told us. We don't dig deeper. We don't understand what is the meaning behind this. What are they really trying to communicate? They're saying I'm selfish, but I don't really know how they feel about that. You know, we blame ourselves. We'd be like, "Oh, okay, you're right. I should have been more sensitive." But we don't understand exactly what the meaning of that statement is. We just immediately blame ourselves, which is going to make us feel guilty. It's going to make us feel shame, and it's going to potentially make us defensive. If we blame ourselves, we might become hurt by what they've said, we might become defensive and more likely to engage in an argument. So the second one is we blame others. "You have no right to say that. In fact, it's really you who is selfish." Right. So immediately we become defensive, we become argumentative, we've engaged in conflict by blaming others, because we're taking, again, what that person is saying at face value, and without understanding, without using empathy, trying to understand where they're coming from and how they're really feeling, we just take their statement as an attack, and therefore we go on the attack by blaming others. You know, it's you who are really selfish. You have no right to say that. Or, "Oh, this person made me do this thing. I'm not selfish. They made me do it." So again, we are looking at our external, and we fail to understand what the needs are. We're just focusing on that kind of initial statement, which makes us feel defensive, it makes us feel angry, frustrated, and we're reacting to the anger and frustration, again, without listening to ourselves. So those first 2 examples of how to respond are likely to lead to us engaging in conflict and taking things personally. If someone calls us selfish, it's easy to take things personally when we blame others or blame ourselves, okay? Because we're accepting that what they've said is true. We're taking it at face value. When you acknowledge yourself, you're saying, "When I hear you say this, I feel hurt because I am lacking recognition of my efforts. When I hear you say this, I feel hurt because I'm lacking recognition of my efforts." So you're communicating that you've heard what they've said. You're communicating the emotion, "I feel hurt," and not just leaving it at that. You are then explaining why. I feel hurt because I am lacking recognition of my efforts. So you're acknowledging how you're feeling and you're communicating it without judgment, how you're feeling and why you're feeling like that. You're not saying if it's right or wrong, but this is how you feel. And you're communicating it, and now you're essentially inviting that person to respond in the way they want to. The fourth way is to acknowledge others. I sense that you are feeling hurt. Do you need more acknowledgement of your own preferences? So you are acknowledging that they are hurt. You're acknowledging that they are distraught, they are upset. So you're saying, I sense that you're feeling hurt. Now you're going to address the need by saying, do you need more acknowledgement of your own preferences, of your own choices? So the fact that they're saying the most self-centered person, they don't really explain why they feel that way. They don't explain what their need is. But by acknowledging the other person, you are trying to address what the need is, and you are addressing the root cause. Do you need more acknowledgement of your own preferences? And when someone hears that, because you're now touching upon the need, you are more likely to get a genuine, non-judgmental response from them, because that person's saying, wow, they're now talking to the need I have, and you're going to respond from that place rather than the place of just pure emotion. When we blame ourselves or we blame others, we are taking things personally. We've already taken things personally by that point, and we're not addressing the need. So when you have the emotion, go to the need. And the way you address the need is by acknowledging ourselves or acknowledging others. You don't assign blame because you've already taken it personally. Instead, you recognize what they've said. You recognize the emotion that they're experiencing or that you're experiencing. And then you get to why there's the emotion there. Why do I feel hurt? Why might they feel hurt? What is the need they have? What is the need I have? And when you communicate that need, without judgment, not taking it personally, you are more likely to resolve whatever the issue is because you're getting to the root cause. The root cause is the need. As a society, like I said, we're good at pointing the finger at others, looking at what other people's needs are, meeting that, but we're not very good at listening to ourselves. We sometimes take on the burden of other people's responsibility and we put it on our own shoulders. I think we are responsible for how we react, how we feel. Yet sometimes we take on responsibility for how other people react and how other people feel, and that is very stressful. We should own how we feel, communicate it clearly. We need to own how we feel. This is the emotion, and communicate it clearly by explaining what that emotion is, because this will lead to less conflict, less defensiveness, less blame, and we will only invite more compassion and understanding into our lives. And this is ultimately what we want, and this is what combats us taking things personally. So remember the formula. I feel this emotion because I need this thing. So when you use that formula, when you communicate, you will minimize judgment, you will minimize conflicts, and you will get to the root cause of whatever you are discussing. This will help you to communicate non-judgmentally. This will help you not to take things personally, and this will minimize conflicts with other people and improve and enhance the quality of your relationships. Thank you for watching.